guys, this is Mrs. Sharpley again, and this week we're talking about combining information from two or more texts and formulating our own ideas and thoughts so that way we can be able to speak and share those details and maybe even write about those details as well. So this week we have an activity about the history of ice cream, and you will need 3 pieces from your teacher. 2 of the pieces are 2 different texts or passages, because we'll of course need to read both of them and be able to compare them. Your first one is called Where Did Ice Cream Come From? And your second is a timeline of ice cream. And you're actually going to do Where Did Ice Cream Come From? You're going to glue that one in first, and then a timeline of ice cream, you're going to put that one in second. So that one's going to be at the bottom. Okay, I'm going to start out and I'm actually going to read the passages for you just so that way you guys have a full understanding of what it says and what it is talking about. My suggestion is that you read the copy that you have. It's a little bit lighter, but on my screen, so that way you can look at the one that you have in front of you. It says, ice cream has been around a long time, but where exactly it originated is a mystery. One myth is that the Roman Emperor Nero commanded his servants to bring him ice from the nearby mountains and then combined it with various toppings. King Tang of China was said to have mixed ice and milk together. In 1776, the first ice cream parlor opened in New York City. In the 1840s, Nancy Johnson invented a hand-cranked freezer, making it easier to make the beloved treat. About 10 years later, Jacob Fussell created the first big ice cream plant. These innovative people are responsible for one of America's favorite frozen desserts. All right, now we're going to go ahead and if we go ahead and then look at our second piece, all right, when you glue this piece in, you're actually going to just glue along the edge so that way we can be able to fold it up. So when I glue it down, it's just going to be along the edge so that way I can fold it up and then write in my notebook. You can go ahead and cut along these lines. All right, so it says article number 1, where did ice cream come from? And of course that is the title of that article, but that is the first one that we read. So we know that ice cream, it's a little bit of a mystery is what it said, remember? Because of course they don't know for sure. There is a myth that an emperor, which is a ruler, Nero, he had his servants bring him ice from the mountains. And then, of course, there's another one that said that there's a King Tang of China who mixed milk and ice together, and that's how the treat came about. So there's a couple different ideas, but it's a little bit of a mystery. So our question is, where did ice cream come from? So, where ice cream came from is a mystery. One idea is that a ruler named Nero sent servants to a mountain to get ice. Another idea is King Tang combined ice and milk. All right, if you need to pause it to finish that up, you can go ahead and do that. we are going to go ahead and look at the article number 2, which is the timeline of ice cream. All right, so it says a timeline of ice cream, and it says around 45 to 68 AD, Roman Emperor Nero sends slaves to mix snow with other ingredients. That's kind of what the other one had said too. They mentioned the Emperor Nero, that he had sent his servants, or the same thing as a slave, to get snow or ice from the mountaintop. So that is very similar to what we just read. And then it says around 618 and 907 AD, King Tang has servants bring ice to his palace to make a recipe using milk. That's what the other one said too, was mentioned King Tang mixing milk and ice or snow together to create this frozen treat. So those are similar in that way as well. They're just formulated a little bit differently because it's in a timeline, so it's going in the order that things happened. So, and then in 1843, Nancy Johnson creates a freezer, which she patents. Patents means that when you invent something, you basically get a patent, which makes it so that way you own the idea and nobody else can have the very same idea because that idea is yours. All right, and now in 1850, the first large ice cream factory opens in Pennsylvania, owned by Jacob Fussell. And in 1880, New York, Illinois, and Wisconsin all declared to have developed the ice cream sundae. Now that is different because I do not remember that being mentioned in the first passage, but everything up until now has been very similar. So that one is a little bit different. Now in 1904, Italo Marnacchi is said to have invented the first waffle cone. And then in 1939, grocery stores start selling ice cream. All right, so that's some more new information that was not mentioned in the other passage. But as we go ahead and go back to our other side and look at the P's, it says the article number 2, a timeline of ice cream. So under here, we're going to share some facts and things that it had shared. So we will maybe just bullet our ideas on this one. So our first bullet says we can probably mentioning the fact that Nero was said to have sent his servants or slaves. So Emperor Nero sends slaves for snow to mix and make ice cream. All right, the timeline also mentions King Tang, but I just kind of want to make sure I get a few of different of my points. Of course, it had said that Nancy Johnson creates the freezer, which seems really important because that's how, people today have it. And then there's also a factory. So maybe our next one we can say Nancy Johnson makes a freezer, and soon after, ice cream is made in factories. And then even after that, it's made in factories, it's sold in grocery stores. Is made in factories and sold in stores. All right? So if you have to pause that to finish writing that, go ahead and do that. And then we're going to go ahead and take a look at and combine important information from both texts. Then orally share your writing to show your knowledge of the subject. All right, so you are actually going to flip this up, and it wants you to combine information from both texts. Now, you're going to do this on your own, but when you're combining that information, you're going to think about ways that they are similar and that they both had. And you can also share ways that they're different. Of course, the timeline shared some information that the other passage did not mention. So you'll want to take those things into consideration. And I would think that if you would probably need 2 to 3 sentences to be sure that you're sharing information from both and sharing how they're similar and different. And then it says, then orally share your writing to show your knowledge of the subject. So after you've written 2 to 3 sentences answering how some information about both of the passages and how they're similar and different, you're then going to share with a peer or a classmate about your writing and what you have learned. And of course, your teacher is going to let you know when and how you should do that. So make sure you follow their direction on that one, okay? All right. Have a good one, and don't forget to answer that last section on your own before you consider yourself done with this assignment, okay?